the narrative is going to be that Biden either has a conflict of interest, which is a very simple thing, an ethical problem, or Biden is involved in a pay-for-play scheme. There is some concern that George Soros had a company that was over there and he was being investigated. There are these wild theories. Let's just go ahead and jump into what Trump is trying to do. Play clip number 5.
And then there's one reference to Biden in this call. And by the way, the entire call transcript is about 5 pages, even though the call lasts for 30 minutes. It's a back and forth between the two of them. Trump says this. He says, I heard you had a prosecutor who was very good and was shut down, which is really unfair. And then he says, quote, there's a lot of talk about Biden's son, what Biden stopped the prosecution. And a lot of people want to find out about that. So whatever you can do with the Attorney General would be great. Biden went around bragging that he stopped the prosecution. So if you can look into it, it sounds horrible to me. Now, this is the only mention in the call about Biden in this 5-page transcript. And Zelensky replies that he's appointing a new prosecutor who will soon, quote, look into the situation.
Oh, wow. So, okay, right there, Trump is trying to find more dirt, it sounds like.
Now we've got the narrative. Trump, that's what the issue is. Trump is getting impeached because the Democrats say he's using a foreign power to try to get dirt on his political opponent.
And who was he talking to?
Okay, so he was talking to the newly elected leader of the Ukraine. The Ukraine elected this Zelensky, and he was actually a non-political person. He was a comedian. It would be like America electing Bill Maher or something. He was this non-partisan person. And so he's almost like the Jimmy Carter over there. You know, he's this new person that comes in. And you have to understand, the Trump people and Rudy Giuliani have been trying to dig up this Biden story for a while. They were trying to get the prior government to do it. And the prior government, I think they were only cooperating a little bit. And so once this new guy comes in, Trump sort of sees this as an opportunity that now maybe we can get some cooperation. And what does cooperation consist of? Well, in a simple, innocent sense, it's turning over documents. But in a more harsh sense, it would involve investigations which allow the subpoena power. So you can get bank records and this kind of thing. And so he wants to dig into this investigation. Now, he wants to get this investigation going. So the question is, a couple of things is what to make of all this and where is it going to go. I just want to sketch a couple of basic things. The first question on people's minds is usually whether or not this is illegal. And to hear on that, let's go with Alan Dershowitz, clip number 8.
I did not see either an impeachable crime or any indictable crime. What I saw is some pretty rough politics. And the answer to that is let the other side play rough politics. In the end, this is going to be a political tie. It will dirty the Biden camp a little bit. There'll be some Americans who will say maybe the president shouldn't have made that call. But it doesn't belong in Congress in an impeachment inquiry, and it doesn't belong in the Justice Department. It is not a crime, high or otherwise.
So there's Alan Dershowitz saying this is not a high crime or misdemeanor. This is not. So this may just be an attempt to hurt his poll numbers for next election.
Right. I mean, I think we're going to get into the lawfulness of this in maybe in the next segment. But yeah, there doesn't appear to be. This is Mueller too. There doesn't appear to be any violation of the law, but it seems slimy. It seems kind of shady. Yeah. And so the question is whether it's basically just dirty politics. I don't want to use the word dirty. It's hardball politics, and it's going to be painted by one side as being sleazy politics. But you have to understand the context in this. You have this situation where Republicans got to get a huge advantage in the last election in 2016 by using what I'm going to call the scandal card. They got an investigation going of Hillary Clinton, who was doing some interesting things with her emails. Now, Hillary didn't violate the law when she used a private server, but she came close to the line. And in fact, because these powerful people have lawyers and so forth, they can get close to the line without crossing it. They know where the line is. Donald Trump does this with taxes. You know, he doesn't pay taxes because he knows where the loophole is. So they benefited from getting an investigation going. And so the issue is whether they're trying to do this again. There's something Biden's got here. Biden is either, in the very simplest sense, Biden just has a conflict of interest. But still, that would be interesting to point out on the campaign trail and to say, to make a lot of noise about that. So it looks like that they're trying to get the scandal card going again. Now, there's a very interesting narrative here from the Trump people and Rudy Giuliani. And one of the narratives is that, look, you guys did this to us. You had this Steele dossier. You had this thing. You tried to say that I was a Russian agent. Trump is saying this is from Trump's point of view, and that there was no truth to this, and that the Mueller report found that was a deficient claim. It either lacked probable cause or it would be subject to a directed verdict. It was an evidentiary flawed case, the underlying charge, which is why they moved to obstruction. I mean, there's all these investigations of Trump, of his business ties, even before he came into president. The New York people are investigating, New York prosecutors. This implicates his family. They were trying to say at one point in time that his son might be in jeopardy. And so here he is subject to all these investigations, and he's probably thinking, hey, why can't I look into this Biden thing?
Yeah.
Why can't I? This is part of American politics now. I'm going to investigate you. You're going to investigate me, which is terrible. It's awful. And so what you have really here is hard politics. You have one side playing hard politics, and the other side really trying to play it back.
So if I were to recap, we had a conflict in Ukraine, where they were under investigation, this particular company.
Right.
The prosecutor at the time chose not to prosecute. His claim is that his superiors said not to prosecute.
Well, now I have to intervene here. I know you're doing a summary. The prosecutor was Shokin. I have to tell you, I have no idea what this guy was up to, because what there is two different narratives. The standard narrative is the guy was corrupt. He wasn't.
Shokin was corrupt.
Yes. And what does that mean? He wasn't prosecuting the case. What does that mean? Well, it probably means he's getting paid. He got paid.
Right.
Okay, no, and again, there's no evidence. I don't have any evidence of that. But Shokin himself is singing a different tune, and he's willing to give affidavits to people. And so here's the bottom line: what Shokin was up to really hasn't been subject to
criticism here. Yeah.
Huge investigation. It's a wild card. It's a question mark. Okay, and the other thing to keep in mind is that Biden's son was on that board of that company all the way up until Biden started to run for election. He just got off that board a couple months ago, and he's making a fat salary.
So there is an assumption here. The assumption is that the company was guilty of something, and Shokin had the evidence to prosecute. There was a case there.
Yeah, I mean, there's no question the company was guilty of something, because they ended up having to pay back taxes. Now the argument there would be maybe they go to sweetheart deal. Okay, and so we don't know what the company was up to. Now there are other narratives. If they did get a sweetheart deal, how did they get it, and what did they have to give in return, and what this money that went to Biden's son? Why is he making all this money? He doesn't even have a background in this when he was originally hired.
Right.
I mean, they knew that they were in trouble, so they brought the Bidens in because they had political power. So that's what the problem is. Now, let me do one last thing. It's important to understand a couple of things. How much time do we have on this segment?
We've got quite a few minutes. I mean, we've got we want to wrap up in 8 minutes.
Okay, so perfect. That's perfect. Let's play clip number 7.
Have you felt any pressure from President Trump to investigate Joe Biden and Hunter Biden?
I think you read everything. No, you heard that we had, I think, good phone call. It was normal. We spoke about many things, and so I think, and you read it, that nobody pushed me.
He's saying that. Who is this guy?
That is Zelensky, the former comedian who's now the leader of Ukraine. Now, what he's saying is, look, this narrative that says that I was extorted or coerced or whatever, and you threatened this. He says, look, I wasn't threatened. He was probably charmed. He got a call from Trump, and Trump says, hey, we want you to look in. We want to get a little cooperation on this Biden thing. And so he says, look, he wasn't threatened. He wasn't pushed or anything. And so that's an important part of the narrative. with regard to whether or not anything legally improper was going on. Again, it doesn't look like anything unlawful. It looks like hardball politics.